everyone. In this session, we will start the next concept after androecium. The concept very soon, very after the androecium, it comes the gynoecium. It means what? Gynoecium is a female reproductive tract, my dear students, female reproductive organ in flower. This gynoecium, it is innermost oval present in the flower. This female reproductive organ or gynoecium, also known as carpel or pistil, and it consists of style, stigma and ovary. Okay, so I'll draw the diagram of gynoecium and I'll tell the other related concepts of gynoecium. Before going to start the gynoecium, yesterday we were discussing about the types of flower based on the position of calyx, corolla, what is that, ovary and stamens. Stamens means androecium. The flower can be classified into three types. One is hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous. But in the yesterday's session, I explained the perigynous and epigynous in a reverse order. But today I will make it correct. So you also just observe this. Perigynous and epigynous. And draw the diagram of these two. Okay. So perigynous means the ovary will be here and the thalamus and this will be the thalamus. Okay, now and this will be the stigma, style and ovary. Now, what is our concept? We are going to study the positions, right? So, the position of ovary, the position of thalamus, the position of androecium, okay, corolla, calyx, androecium, corolla, calyx. So, here in the perigynous condition, the ovary, so this ovary will be present here and the thalamus. So where will be the thalamus? The thalamus and all the other parts of the flower, it grows from the ring of the ovary, so that the ovary, it becomes, or it is known as half inferior. But in the previous type of flower, in the hypogynous flower, the ovary is superior in condition and all the other parts remains or they settled or they arise from the bottom of the flower. So that's why it was known as hypogynous. Perigynous means the ovary is half superior, is known as half superior, and the other parts, the androecium, calyx, corolla, calyx, they arises from the ring of the ovary. One more diagram they have given in your textbook. So it means what? The same thing. One more diagram. Either this or that type of ovary considered as the half superior. Okay, so these are the two diagrams shows the type of perigynous. Okay, So if you write like this or like the previous diagram, both are correct. So you have to follow the perigynous condition, this diagram. Now coming to the epigynous, epi means on to some of the, like if a plant, if it, consider this is a tree. Okay, so a tree is what kind of tree we have to imagine? This is the banyan tree. Just consider, just imagine one banyan tree or people tree, anything else. Okay, so some of the orchids or some of the plants, if suppose those plants are small plants, if they start growing on the banyan tree or on the what is that, people tree, so these plants are known as epiphytes. It means the plant which usually used to grow on other plant, that type of plants are known as epiphytes. So the word is known as epi, on some of the other surfaces. So here also we are going to study the epigynous condition. It means what? The ovary will be present in this position and it is enclosed by the thalamus and the other floral parts the other floral parts, they arises, they produces at the top, or from this position they start produce. So this kind of what? This kind of ovary is considered as epigynous. I'll just correct it. So these are the ovules and this is the thalamus and this is androecium corona calyx. Okay. Now, so epi means on the ovary, the other part of floral corals are arising, are developing. That's why it is considered as epigynous ovary or epigynous flower. And the flower, sorry, the ovary condition is, what do you call the ovary? If it is known as half in superior, and in the earlier type of flower, the ovary was in the condition of superior condition. We used to say the ovary as a superior ovary, but here, because due to the presence of due to it has occupied the bottom level, we have to call this ovary as inferior. So this was the yesterday's concept correction, make it correct. So we'll move on to the, as I told you, we'll move on to the next concept, that is gynecium. The gynecium consists of an enlarged portion known as ovary. Inside the ovary, it has ovules. Now here I am drawing 4 or 8 ovules, but in some ovary there will be only one ovule will be present, 2 or 3, number of ovules will be present based on or depend on the species. Okay, so this is the stigma, style, wovule. So gynoecium structure is on the board now. So this gynoecium is a female reproductive organ made up of one or more carpel. So you can call this as carpel 2. Carpel. The carpel consists of an enlarged portion known as ovary, which is present at the bottom level, and a tube arises from this enlarged portion known as style. I am calling this as a tube. Tube means there will be having a cavity inside it, and at the top level, at the top surface of the carpel, it has sticky stigma. Okay, why it is sticky in nature? Because it has to, the pollen grains has to deposit on the stigma. Okay, so when the pollen grains deposit on the stigma, the pollen grains forms the pollen tube. Through the pollen tube, the male gametes transfers, and those male gametes they come and fuse with this ovule. So there the fertilization takes place. After the fertilization, the ovary develops into fruit, the ovules develops into seed. If you have the habit of having the fruit, different type of fruit, or apple, banana, in the banana is the parthenocarpic fruit. Okay, how it is? So I'll tell you in the next session. Okay, so fruit, and then what is that? Strawberry. Strawberry is a false fruit. Why it is considered as false fruit? So that also I'll tell you. And then what is that? Coconut. All these are fruits, my dear students. Okay, how the fruit arises, how the fruit develops, the ovary. So here, so this is the ovary, the wall, and then this place, all these regions further develop into fruit. Usually in different type of fruit we used to have the seed, or in some of the fruit we used to have the fleshy part of the fruit. That fleshy part is the wall of ovary. Okay, the hard part of the fruit is the seed. The seed consists of embryo and endosperm. That we will observe, that we will study in the next class 12. Okay, not now. Now you have to understand only the basic concept, only the structure of gynoecium or carpel. Carpel consists of a sticky stigma, a long tube-like style, and the enlarged portion known as ovary. Ovary encloses number of ovules. In the future, the ovary. In the future means after fertilization, the ovary become fruit, the ovule become seed. Now, one carpel or many carpels may be present in different species. Only one carpel will be present, or more than 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like different number of carpels will also be present. If number of carpels, if many carpels, consider many carpels are present. Carpels means the same carpel will be many in number. If all those carpels free in nature, if it is free, what do you call that type of carpel? If that carpels are fused in nature. Fused in nature means their nature, their physical appearance is fused. Now consider this is one carpel, one more carpel, one more carpel, one more carpel. Number of carpels, they get fused with one another. What do you call that type of carpel? So you have to remember these 2 points, my dear. My dear students, when the carpels are fused, the type of carpel is known as syncarpus. When the carpels are free, the carpel is known as apocarpus. I am talking about many carpels. Suppose a flower consists of many carpels. Those carpels are free in nature. That type of carpels are known as apocarpus. If it is fused in physical appearance, that type of carpel is known as syncarpus. Now, what I will teach you, the next concept is, I am going to take the transfer section of ovary. How it looks? If you take the transfer section, if you are free in home, just select some of the flower and try to separate the calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. So you might have seen, you might have taken the hibiscus flower. The hibiscus flower, usually this is the worship, for the worships and all, this flower used to select, right? So when you take the hibiscus flower, when you touch that hibiscus flower, some powdery feeling will come, no, so like some powdery dust will be present on the flower. So that powdery or yellow colored dust is nothing but pollen grains, my dear students. Those pollen grains have to travel from one flower to other flower, or the same flower onto the same flower. Those pollen grains used to, if it sit on the stigma, the the fertilization occurs. Okay, so those are nothing but pollen grain arising, or they are producing from the anthers of an androecium. So what I was telling, like, if you find the different type of flowers, what you have to do, just collect the flower, separate all the parts and try to observe the ovary. And if you have blade in your home, try to take the transverse section of ovary. The inner part of the ovary is not visible to the naked eye. If you have that microscope or the the microscope, you can observe the ovules inside the ovary. Okay, so if it is not there, no problem. When you come to the college, when we start the practicals and all, I will show you. Need not to worry about it. So try to observe, or else you can see, you can do this work at home. So when you observe the flower, try to see the nature of calyx and corolla. If it is fused, all the corolla or all the calyx are fused, what do you call that type of calyx? It is known as gamosepalous. If it is free, that type of calyx is known as polysepalous. So just try to observe that thing. Now we will see about the placentation. It is very important, my dear students. There are 5 types of placentations are present in your NCERT book. All those are very important, and observe this placentation. Now, what do you mean by placentation? Placentation is nothing but the arrangement of ovules within the ovary. The arrangement of within the ovary. It is known as placentation. Now, ovary, arrangement of ovules. From the beginning itself, I used to draw this type of ovule itself. It is not a compulsory phenomenon. All the vowels will not be present at the central position. Some of the vowels will be present at this place. Some of the vowels will be present here. You might have eaten the cucumber. If you cut the cucumber transverse sectionally, where do you find the seeds? Where do you find that seeds? Just observe all those things. And if you cut the apple, where do you find the seeds? The seeds will be, the seeds are taken the central position, right? And what about banana? And what about grapes? And what about watermelon? Tomato is also a fruit. And pea beans, your parents used to separate the peas and all, no? So just observe that the arrangement of ovules inside the fruit. So if you find difficulty to separate the ovary, need not to worry. Try to collect the fruits and cut the fruit and observe the location of seeds. Okay, so in the future the ovule is going to form the seed, right? So the arrangement of ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. Now the placenta, what do you mean by placenta? Here earlier, in the earlier diagram, I drew one line over here, right? And onto that, I showed you the ovules like this, right? So here, the ovules, whatever the ovules are present within the ovary, they get attached to this part, right? To this part, to hold this part, the ovules get attached. Now, this cushion-like structure, cushion-like organ which is present inside the ovary, it is known as placenta. Just observe the tomato fruit. In the tomato fruit, what will be there? You can't find an orderly arrangement of seeds. Seeds will be here and there scattered inside the tomato. So, whenever you cut the tomato, whenever you see the seeds, they will be like this. Okay, to some of the part they get attached. A white color tissue will be present. No, that is nothing but placenta. The place where the ovules get attached, the organ or the structure onto which the ovules get attached, that is known as placenta. And this arrangement is known as placentation. Okay. Now, we have as I told you, five types of placentation. One is marginal, second one is axial placentation, marginal placentation, parietal placentation. Fourth one is free central free central, basal placentation. So you have to study all these five types of placentation. So I'll draw the diagram now. Okay, just see this diagram and you have to, what you have to do, you have to learn how. I'll show you. So this is the season of peas. Just go to the market, collect some peas and try to open the pod of the seed. Where do you find the, try to open the pod of the pod. Okay, just open the outer envelopes. What do you find? You find the 4 to 5 number of seeds. Okay, if you open at the central position, if consider this is the pod, if you open like this, some of the vowel remain attached to this pod, and some of the not vowel, seeds, some of the seeds will remain attached to this pod, to this half pod. So what does it mean? It means the seeds are attached to the marginal position of the fruit. That's why they have given the name as marginal placentation. The placenta, the arrangement of ovules, the arrangement of ovules. So this is the future after fertilization. If the ovary get fertilized with the male gamete, it becomes the fruit. So they have given the structure of fruit. So the fruit looks like this. No. So this fruit or the pod or the bean or the pea pod looks like this. The seeds will be remain attached at the marginal position, and the seeds attached to the ridge of the margins. So at the ridge of the margins. So this is the seed, this is the seed, and the seed and the seed. They get attached to the cushion-like structure, a soft organ. So this is known as placenta, and the arrangement of ovules inside the ovary is known as so the arrangement of ovules at the marginal level inside the ovary. This type of placentation is marginal placentation. You have to give examples, my dear student. Example is pea. Okay. The next is axile placentation, China rose, tomato and lemon. Usually we used to cut the lemon in the transverse manner. Right? How do we used to cut the lemon? I'll take the example of lemon. Okay. So here imagine I'm drawing a lemon, cut part of the lemon, and it will be having a number of ovules inside it. Sorry, I am using the word lemon. It means I used to word the seed. Right? The seeds will be attached to this portion. Right? So this is the structure of what? Transverse section of lemon. So what is our concept? We are studying the structure. We are studying the concept of axile placentation. In the axile placentation, the example is China rose. Second one is tomato. Third one is lemon. Okay. So in these three, I am using the structure of, I am drawing the structure of lemon. So, lemon consists of chambers. This is one chamber, or it is known as locule. This is one locule, one locule, one more locule, one more locule. Each locule consists of 2 to 3 seeds. So, this is one seed. And all seeds, all those seeds where it will be present at the central position. It means we should not use the word central, we have to use the word axile. The seeds are placed in the axile position. That's why the arrangement of ovules inside the ovary is axile. So that's why this type is known as axile placentation. So these are the seeds, and this is the locule and the wall of the ovary, and is a ovary or a fruit. Don't get confused, my dear students. Here they have given the definition like the arrangement of ovules within the ovary. They have given like that. No. So arrangement of ovules within the ovary means the ovary, the arrangement of ovary before the fertilization. Before the fertilization, we have to call the ovary itself, we have to call that part as ovule itself. After fertilization, we can call the ovule as seed, ovary as fruit. That's why I have given the name as seed. Okay. Now, parietal placentation. Archimon and mustard. Archimon and mustard. These are the two examples for parietal placentation. The parietal placentation, the ovules develop from the inner wall of ovary. Sometimes this ovary forms a false septa. False septa means what? Septa means a division, a line which divides the ovary into two. False means it should not be present. By mistake, it has developed inside the ovary. This is known as false septum. This false septum, only one false septum will be present, so that the ovary has two chambers in some what species. But according to the NCERT diagram, they have given this diagram, the ovules arranged in the inner wall of ovary, inner wall of ovary. So, in some species, the ovary has two chambers because of the presence of false septum. Okay, false septum. Alright. So, the arrangement of ovules within the inner wall of ovary is known as parietal placentation. Example is argemone and mustard. Now we have two more placentation. One is free central and one more is basal. Example for this is dianthus and primrose. Dianthus and primrose. How the structure will be? The structure will be look like this. In this type of parietal placentation, the septa is absent. Freely the ovules arises inside the ovary and it doesn't possess the septa. It doesn't possess any of the chamber. Only one chamber it consists. That chamber, within that chamber, it forms the free central ovules. It means it doesn't get attached to any part or any wall or to any of the locule. It will be there inside the ovary free in a free manner. The examples are dianthus and primrose. Now you might have seen the species like the sunflower and marigold. In the sunflower and marigold, the ovules will be present at the basal part. Consider this is the ovary. Inside the ovary, it has only one ovule and that ovule attached to the basal part of the ovary. So this type of arrangement, the arrangement of ovule to the basal part of the ovary is known as basal placentation. Okay, so what do we have? They have given the diagram like this. Okay, let me follow the book itself. If you draw this diagram, it is not a fault. This diagram is also considered as a true diagram. Okay, we have given like this, and it consists of only one seed or only one overview. Okay, the example is sunflower and marigold. Okay, so this is all about the placentation. So remember, my dear students, this is important one. Usually they give for 5 marks. What they ask, describe the placentation. What is placenta and describe the placentation. If they used to ask, write the types of or describe the types of placentation. If they suppose if they ask like that, what you have to write? You have to write the definition of placenta, and you have to write all the 5 types of, you have to describe all the 5 types of placentation with diagram, and also you have to write the examples for each. Okay, so if you have any doubt, ask me. Thank you.